What if America had split into 3 or 4 different countries after the Revolution? Well, each one of them had its own army, its own navy, and its own government. Hamilton sat down and he did the math. He writes about it in Federalist number 13, where he shows that disunion wouldn't just be dangerous, it would also be, well, expensive. So he calls the Constitution not only a plan for freedom, but it's really a plan for financial survival. I'm Matt Hasquin. I'm a high school history teacher, and we're all going through the 85 Federalist Papers. And we're up to number 13 right now, so we're going through them in order. So to set the stage here, for 13, it's the late 1780s, of course. The war is over. Peace has had a price. The states are drowning in debt. Trade at the time is quite inconsistent. And under the Articles of Confederation, there is no central system for collecting revenue. There's just begging from the states and borrowing. Now, Hamilton is, of course, the nation's most practical visionary, and he argues that unity isn't just patriotic, it's also profitable. So he's got a pretty clear thesis here. He says in 13 that one government can collect and manage revenue more cheaply and efficiently than several. And so he's calling the union an economy of scale. So just as one factory is more efficient than like 13 different workshops in a cottage industry. So you have one national government then that is cheaper and safer and stronger than just a cluster of smaller governments. So if the states break apart, Hamilton just puts out a warning and he says, well, then each new nation is going to have to build its own army and navy. It's going to have to maintain its own bureaucracy. It's going to have to construct its own capital. It's going to have to fortify its borders against others. And each would pay more money for having less. So he predicts, and it's quite blunt, he says that disunion would lead to ruinous expense. And so the idea is pretty simple. Redundancy will kill a republic. So Hamilton focuses then on defense because it's the most expensive part of any government. Separate confederacies would have to guard long land borders and they'd have to protect their coasts. And that means more soldiers, more ships, more taxes, all to protect against one another. Back in 13, he writes, the same portion of territory would require the same number of men to defend it, whether united or divided. And so, but if you have a united defense, that spreads the costs and it eliminates duplication. Safety gets cheaper when it's shared. Multiple governments also mean that you have multiple bureaucracies. Separate systems of tax collecting, you have separate courts, you have separate diplomats, you have all these administrators, and each of those is going to consume resources that the public just doesn't have. And so Hamilton, who's ever the accountant, saw waste as the hidden enemy of liberty. He believed that inefficiency wasn't just inconvenient, it was actually immoral. Money wasted on duplication is money that's stolen from progress. And so then Hamilton insists that the whole, W-H-O-L-E, is greater than the sum of its parts. And a united nation can pool resources, it can balance strengths, it can manage debt. And if you have rich and poor states alike, they all benefit from the shared stability. What he's describing is what economists today would call fiscal federalism. It's wealth that's redistributed to strengthen the entire system. If you have disunion, to contrast that, it creates inequality, it creates resentment, and you have the same jealousies that have destroyed empires in history past. Now, Hamilton's genius lies in how he merges the economics with philosophy, because he believes that efficiency isn't just practical, it's actually moral. Good government should waste neither money nor virtue. So he writes again in 13 that a unity of government will contribute most to the economy of its administration. If we want to break that down into more modern language, we could say that, a federal system is the best bargain that the people can make. Once again, Hamilton looks to Europe as kind of this cautionary tale. He points to the endless wars, the costly fortifications, the rival militaries, all these things that drain the continent's wealth. And each nation then spends fortunes defending itself from its neighbors. And then you have progress that stalls. America, that Hamilton says, can break that cycle by learning efficiency through unity. And as we get to the chain of reasoning that we've done in the other videos, let's do your homework for you here. If we tighten all this logic together, we have disunity that multiplies expenses, armies, fleets, taxes. We have union that consolidates resources and reduces duplication. We also have shared lower costs of defense, and that strengthens security. And then you have efficiency that preserves prosperity, and then finally prosperity sustains liberty, right? All chain reaction. There it is, right? There's your summary. Now, the reason why it still matters today is, well, the 13th Federalist paper still applies now. I mean, you have from defense budgets to infrastructure, from healthcare to disaster relief. These unified systems are more efficient and more equitable than systems that are fragmented. So Hamilton was one of the first to argue that economic integration is political stability, that the richer the union, the safer the citizens you have. And the thing is here, Hamilton is not a romantic. He didn't believe unity came just, from sentiment alone. He believed that it came from shared self-interest. Union wasn't just morally right, it was economically inevitable. And I guess you could say his brilliance lay in making, you have patriotism, and you can make patriotism and practicality effectively the same thing. If you take three things away from this, the first one would be that disunion is wasteful. Unity is efficient. The second one would be shared defense and shared revenue make liberty affordable. And then finally, a good government is one that spends wisely and governs well. We'd like to have a little of that right now. But anyway, so I kind of wrap this thing up. Federalist number 13 is Hamilton's reminder that good ideas must also be good investments. He's saying that the Constitution doesn't just, unite hearts, doesn't just bring them together. It also balances the ledgers. So in Hamilton's world, as in ours, ideals mean little if they can't have the money behind them, if they can't be funded. And the greatest economy a nation can achieve is, well, the economy of union. I'm Matt Hasquin, and so this is another one of those things you should know by being alive. If this helped you see the Constitution as both moral and mathematical, please give it a share, a follow. Join me next time, because I'm coming back with Federalist number 14. We bring James Madison back into the fold with 14 because he returns to defend the scale and scope of, just the new republic itself. Thanks for watching.